too.
Yeah, my perspective is that we have not yet spent the money, and so we actually, as was mentioned earlier, doesn't seem to be fair that we're collecting money to reimburse the expenditures we've had. Doesn't seem, and it's a significant increase of 7%. And I think that 2013 could be a challenging year for people. I think that we have to be conscientious with the expenditures we make right now and what we require of people to reduce their rates. I think as soon as we know more solid number that is appropriate time for us to be increasing things. Yes, I would love to be storing and stacking away lots of money for these kind of things in the future, but it's at the expense of the people. So when it's appropriate, I feel it's time for us to start to collect it. That's my perception. And a 7% increase is a significant increase. They're already high. They're already highest in the county, from what I can see, significantly higher. So all we do is we're escalating it that much more. So I have concerns with what user rates we're charging right now for water ministry.
Speak to that again.
The second part of my question would be in relation to timing. Okay, I understood what you said. In relationship to timing, when would be that time when we would make it? Because budget process through you, Mr. Mayor, budget process in terms of operating. Because if you're looking at an increase, this is really, are you talking budget? Because in totality, when you say 7%, that's in relationship. It's not the budget per se, right? It's just a component of. Or is that what you were really talking about?
Well, it's it has kind of independence from the budget, because as soon as we spend money, we can collect.
Yes,
there's an interrelationship between that, right? So, you know, we've already budgeted for the sewage treatment facility when it comes as an expenditure at some point in the future, right? So, we're anticipating that expenditure. It's up to you. I mean,
It's moved in second. I guess I just want to make a comment. We're collecting these fees, we're putting the money in the bank, it's in the reserve so that we can do a project. Or if we don't collect these, if we do a project, we don't have the money, we have to borrow the money. So it's either, we have to borrow either way, but it's kind of conflicting with, we don't want any new debt, but we can't collect money so we can have the money before we buy anything.
it'll be very insignificant.
Through you to our CEO, do you have any idea what the how much money we're talking in terms of this increase? What percentage or part of that would be towards the sewer plant?
Not specifically, because this group does a total for all our infrastructure projects.
Is it significant in your opinion, though? Even without a specific number, would it appear to be significant?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't comment.
Okay, it's moved. Janet?
No, it's just good planning for any of our infrastructure. I mean, if you remember in the workshop, we're moving towards a full life cycle costing. Water, we're there. Sewer, we're halfway there. I mean, we're making the strides to get there. I think we're more advanced than some other municipalities, and yes, our rates are are higher, but I think we're in a better position with financial planning.
Okay, is the mover, I'll let you speak to it.
Yeah, yes, it does make technical sense that we are collecting life cycle replacement costs and that we'll be prepared for projects in the future. But the problem is that we've been collecting life cycle replacement costs on water since 2003, but our reserves are depleted. So it doesn't always work as beautifully as we anticipate, right? So yes, we can collect money, but is it going to be there when we need it? And that's my concern. So yes, I don't know if there's always a direct relationship between that. We have to be very careful, right?
Right. I mean, water we're more solid in, and yes, we have funds in the reserve. Whereas sewer, we don't.
But they're not that significant. Like, they're not flush reserve funds. They're
The
okay.
sewer component of it is very, very low.
Anyways.
Councilor Underwood?
Yeah, we're focusing a lot on the sewer plant that's coming down the road with regards to these sewer increases. Are we expecting further increases after we implement the sewer treatment plant? Probably, right? So we're ramping up, we're slowly ramping up, so it's not a great big jump, it's a small jump, and we have money in the reserves.
That was the Watson report with the 10-year.
Yes, this is what this was based on.
And at the current time, council's direction is to proceed with this sewer plant. So the rates are there on that that's the direction of council is to go ahead. So, the motion is to adjust these rates. All in favor of the motion? Your motion,
Was to table the sewers until
table.
we have definite numbers.
Yeah.
That was my motion.
all in favor of that?
Did I record what I'm not, Mr.
Okay, recorded vote. All those in favor of the motion to table the sewer rates? Okay. Those opposed? Okay. Motion on the recommendation is outlined in the treasurer's report. See the next one that I guess I would have to ask for. So, Councillor McGuire. Second by Councillor Cook. Any questions on that? All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Opposed? Okay. Okay. 7:10, we have another public meeting, zone amendment application, general amendment for the location and size of accessory buildings. I would ask for a motion to open the public meeting dealing with the planning, under the Planning Act. Councillor Scott, Councillor Cook, all in favor of that? That's carried. I would ask the planner to present this zoning amendment.
The application in front of council today was initiated by the municipality in response to some recommendations that came forward from our Committee of Adjustment respecting accessory buildings. The Committee of Adjustment over the last 5 years has noticed an increase in the minor variances related to size, height, and location of accessory buildings on lots, on water courses, or on the lake. So they have recommended to council through a number of motions that they made at their meetings, that the size of accessory buildings be increased from 67 square meters or 10% of the lot area to 93 square meters or 10% of the lot area. They've also recommended that the heights be altered. For buildings that have 67 square meters of lot coverage or less, they're recommending 5.5 meters. For buildings and structures with lot coverages between 68 and 93, they're recommending a 6.1 meter height. In addition, they're also suggesting that the bylaw allow accessory buildings and structures in the front yard of those lots which abut water courses. Presently, the bylaw only allows them in side and rear yards. So for your lots on the lake, that's many times impossible to do and not practical. We have had a number of those minor variances. So they're suggesting that we allow that to happen, subject to the front yard requirement in the zone being applied to the structure or the building. I have reviewed the committee's recommendations to council and can fully support them. They certainly make sense in light of the number of applications we have and the reasons for the applications. Certainly because of the nature of Lambton Shores, there's many people who store recreational vehicles on their properties, and the size currently just isn't accommodating that. So I think it's a great recommendation from the committee. The size also has to be adjusted because with a little bit of an increase in size, you need some height there. And certainly the provision for allowing accessory buildings in the front yards along water courses, we should have done that a long time ago. The only suggestion I'll make to council, in addition to what the Committee of Adjustments recommended, is that for those accessory structures that are allowed in the front yard on lots that abut water courses, that they also satisfy the side yard provisions in those zones. So if the side yard provisions for a dwelling in those zones is 2 meters each side, that in fact is what the accessory buildings would provide also. I think it's just a little bit of protection for adjacent property owners to be satisfied that the provisions in the bylaw that deal with structures immediately in the front yard are still adhered to. If it causes an issue in the future for someone, perhaps they have a smaller lot, they can come back to the committee and ask for a minor variance, and then the neighbors would be aware. So, so I'm recommending to council that you know, the application be approved, and I have done